Hello, this is Morgan Phillips Talks. My name is Elias Burzan, and together with my co-host Gaetan, we warmly welcome you to Inside Success.
Hi, folks. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Gaetan Witz, and this is the place today where we explore inside success. We would like to understand the mindset, the decisions on the back of the people, and the recipes, what they have done at parts of their career, how to get there, Elias.
Definitely. And we are really excited to have you with us today. Our goal is really simple, a real, true conversation, human, honest, and insightful. No corporate scripts, so just curiosity, curious about what makes C-level successful, like our guests, and how they turn from learner to performer. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into today's episode with our guest speaker, Dr. Christian Roesky. Our guest today is someone who really spent more than 25 years in the eye care business in biotech and really doing something with a level of calm that most of us only reach on vacations, right?
Yeah, please welcome with us Dr. Christian Roesky, CEO of Novalik in Germany, operating.
Yeah, thank you for
Christian,
having me, and thank you for being the guinea pig here. That's really truly exciting and great to be here.
Christian, do you remember that day when we met the first time?
Well, for sure, Elias.
I hope so.
Actually, this goes back 2015, I would say. Yeah, actually, I was trying to get back into ophthalmology. I remember I was 2 years with Abbott, and I had a ban in ophthalmology for good reasons. And I was looking for a new position, and then we met. We met in Wiesbaden in the Käfer. I know that it was exactly about that time, spring, summer, maybe.
So in my hometown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to all of
Fantastic.
you, let's jointly kick this session by reading out loud Christian's biography. Right, Gaetan, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, well, it's good if you want to start and ignite the session, but I just wanted to say that we're not only talking, we will look into the data as well. Christian, we've measured your psychometric analysis upfront this session.
Yes,
So
you
I
did.
know everything about you, your
More than
personality,
me.
your traits, your drivers, your secret dreams. No, just kidding. We would start with your biography, but we will then focus on data as well to see if we find bits and bytes that our audience can use to grow their own career. And we'll see if we find parallels.
And we have prepared a short text that you will read, Christian, about your biography. And we are really curious to hear if you are consentant or not. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, look, I take it as it come, and obviously the headline already was blowing me away. You say from chemist nerd to PhD with honors. Okay, let's see if I can really deliver on that kind of expectation. So
Okay,
hello everybody, and don't call me doctor, I'm Christian. And yes, I'm of those people that have been studying, enjoying chemistry really already in school. And I studied chemistry then later on in Bonn, and then I transitioned in the early 90s to Freiberg, not Freiburg, because Freiberg is somewhere close to Dresden in the new. So I made my PhD there at the Technical University of Freiburg. And look, what you're doing there, you have organic chemistry reaction. I did some really crazy stuff. And later on, we will touch on that. Somehow, for whatever reason, God wanted me to come back to what I actually did my PhD on years, decades later. But I think what summarizes my first step in the career is I tried to solve complex problems. I only looked, really at molecules by molecules and see if that brings me to the next level. Yeah. So then I left the academic world because enough is enough, and I wanted to go into chemistry, but obviously there was no job available. And the pharmaceutical industry allowed me a lot of opportunities, and I'm still there. So this was in the mid-90s. I joined Abbott as a sales rep. And then I started really a career, almost 15 years at Alcon and Novartis, made it really from a marketing role to a senior executive in the Alcon Novartis company. My last role was a general manager for the roof region, we say, for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So that actually shaped me tremendously. I think I really learned what's it all about leadership and how to combine it with science. And then after a couple of roles, I returned to Abbott and also served for Bausch & Lomb, where Elias was bringing me into that kind of opportunity. Actually, I took another break. First break, chemistry, now pharma. Second break is had a great life as a GM, area director, Central Europe, fantastic. Traveled around the world. And then I joined a biotech company. And the phone call that I got at that time was from a guy. He said, look, there's a company, they need you. You will join them. Don't argue. Yeah, and here I am. And actually, I thought that's a short episode in my life, but it's actually not. It's now 10 years. And the company was developing water-free ocular therapies. So that sounds a little bit weird because we all know eye drops and they contain water. I thought at that time exactly the same. Maybe we have a time to talk about that, why this is the case, why water-free really makes a difference. But I think the biggest takeaway maybe here for the audience is innovation really starts with assumptions, and you have to challenge those assumptions. If you don't, you will just do the ordinary. Yeah. So I would say my current life is really benefiting from what I learned in the past in the pharmaceutical life. Now I'm doing, obviously, as a biotech leader, much more. And I think it's all about the people supporting, the organization, getting to, change processes, improving therapies and drugs for patients. But in the end, really, it's bigger than just a single role. And I think with 2 decades now on my shoulders, I think I'm delighted to be here and to share a little bit of what I've learned, what is my curiosity, and I like surprises. And so I said I couldn't resist to say yes to that kind of program here. And thank you again for having me. And please ask any question that you think is helpful for the folks who are listening here in.
Wow. I would say, wow, what a journey. 25 years in eye care. What do you think? Good summary, right?
So I think you guys wrote a real nice biography. Actually, I rarely do that, but I'm truly flattered. Thank you for that. So I would say it's really the combination of all the three buckets that you touched on that really shaped my life. So I would say you did a fantastic job. Yeah.
But so if you look back, Christian, be very honest. That would be great. Yeah. What do you think if you look back at the journey? And typically we shape the future and we don't look back, as you already said. Yeah. What was something that was truly part of you, of your personality, of your traits from early beginnings, independent, if chemistry, which environment? And what are things that you have learned that have brought you here into that CEO role where you perform every day at the moment?
Okay, that's a great question. So you could argue I'm a CEO since birth because my name is Christian Ernst Otto. We should put this together as CEO, yeah. But it's a fair point that I'm a chemist, not an historian, and that is really putting it to the point that I am. So I have a scientific mind. I like to put things into pieces and put them together again. So that's what I learned at university. And that I think is one character I would characterize myself. The other is I'm super curious. Yeah? My curiosity is not killing the cat, but curiosity is really driving everything that I've been doing in my career. And the last piece I would say that I think I always had in my DNA is I like to work for a purpose. So I need to see the goal, the value, and this brings me up every morning, to get out of bed. So what did I learn? Gosh, how much time do you have? I think that the most thing that changed me as a person was I learned about emotional intelligence. When I was exposed to that concept, it's really a life-changing experience. And obviously, if you don't know that, you will never become a good leader, yeah, because it's all about the people. People make the difference. I learned about change management. I learned about these kind of soft skills, how to make change and bring people along, because it's easy to make change on your own. Or maybe it's not, but it's very difficult to change organizations. I was running organizations from 12 people to 3,000, so a whole range. And then I obviously learned finance by heart, profit and loss, to think like a CFO, because in our business, it's all about money as well. Yeah.
Interesting. We already see, Elias, that there are parts that I guess your parents would say when they remind you of kindergarten times that you have been curious. We know that we have traits that are given from birth, and then there are other skills that we learn over time, like change management and emotional intelligence, like you said. Yeah, interesting, very interesting. We will cover that later.
Absolutely. Christian, you have some steps in your career, but there was a huge part which was, let's say, you big pharma, international companies. What do you feel shaped you the most in that phase? Was it the corporate environment itself, feedback you received from people, projects? What truly was driving your growth in that phase? You are dropping curiosity as one buzzword here.
Yeah, so one was definitely the desire. I wanted to get out of Germany. It felt too small for me. After a few years, I really wanted to get out. Absolutely. So my wife was not so happy with that, and obviously having two children. Yeah. So maybe it's just my curiosity. So I think I was on one hand lucky because I could do that. And I think of two things that really shaped everything in my life is one thing, I got into something there was nothing. I could create something from scratch. So we were starting to build an European headquarter in Barcelona with a lot of exposure to the headquarter and then obviously to the affiliates that I know. So that was amazing because I could really create things to my mind. And my bosses told me, Christian, just get it done. Just do it. And the other thing that really shaped me, I had only exposure to senior management, CEO, CFO, everything you can imagine, area directors. And look, when you come from a country and you're a marketing manager and you're just exposed to senior level, it changes everything. Because then you have now like an elevator. No? You are in senior management, you know the country level, you know the disconnects, and you're sitting in a sandwich position now. And now you can think about how you can align these two levels. Best job of my life. I shouldn't say that, but a great job of my life.
Hey, Christian, just jumping on that, is it the whole topic of you are the sum of the people who are in the room, and because you learn from them? So pay attention to the people who are in the room because they make you, they make you evolve. They make you maybe stagnate as well.
No, I would say if somebody thinks that's the way to go, don't do it. Very interesting question because I was exposed to all these leaders and I thought it's naturally I was engaging with them, but they had a hidden plan. Their hidden plan was to mentor me, to coach me, to see if I'm ready for the next step. And I will never forget when I had an interview that I thought was just a business discussion. And they told me, Christian, we send you back to Germany. I said, no, forget it. I am going back. Forget it. And they said, no, Christian, listen, we need you there. You go back. I said, no, I'm just coming there. And that was obviously 6-7 years in the international. And then they said, no, you're becoming a GM in Germany. So you go back. And I said, okay, I do it. And years later, I asked them, so why did you put me in there? But they said, okay, we were really training you to get there. And the smartest thing in HR is that these people don't recognize that they are being prepared for their future. And the future means you need to jump into this ice cold water. And if you drown, they will send you some swimming pants and, survival kit. But if you start swimming with all these different exposures, you always have a learning experience that prepares you for the next role. And the next role is more pressure, more responsibility, but it's definitely more ice water and cold feet. And you need to get through that. And it's good that I didn't know. I know it now. Maybe I apply it for some of the people I'm working with now.
Christian, you are, growing quite fast in so senior roles. Often people have difficulties with the stakeholder management on different levels. What was your key to manage that with your age at that time?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not afraid. So I'm actually not afraid to lose my status or getting pushbacks. So that's really, it's if something is about the matter, the subject, and I can do argumentation like a chemist, I would take the argument, but I think I have, some people say I have a charming art, no? But I'm very political without, losing the point that I want to obviously have own interests or the interests of the company. And the more you are exposed to senior management and executives, then, they all have their own agenda and their own ways of doing that. And so I think in the beginning, you are loyal to your direct reports. And the further you're stepping up, I think loyalty is a very important point because if you go into a fight on your own, you will lose, even with the best arguments. So the American way of life is you need to understand that you enter a meeting and everything is pre-prepared. And if you think you just enter and things are being decided in this kind of meeting, forget it. It's all pre-decided. I only had 1 or 2 occasions where things really were a little bit different. But typically in US meetings, you are lining up your allies and your support previously. So that's what I've learned. And that's why some people say, Christian, are you really German? Because I got really a little bit Americanized. Yeah, I can argue. And I
Which is
enjoy it.
which is totally okay, because it makes you a lot more visionary than the average German manager, from my perspective, Christian. But let's return to a question you gave us earlier. What exactly made you, as a visionary, convinced you to no more think about water-based eye therapies? Um, because it's not only then the innovation, you secondly needed as well to bring it to a scale, because to change a product in a market is one part, the second is to scale it later. What convinced you, and how did you do that?
Yeah, so look, obviously I didn't know about the company, as I told you. I didn't know about water-free eye drops, and for me it was a given. There are eye drops out there for 3,500 years. You find in Egypt, the ancient Egyptians, they already had eye medications. So it was normal to have water eye drops, so we're all using. Interestingly, that's not a good choice. If you just, look at from a scientific point of view, that's actually not a very good choice, because water eye drops are not the best solution for eye medications. But if you don't have anything else, you don't question it. So then I had this interview with Novalik, and they were telling me about these water-free eye drops and explained me it's safe. That was very important for me, but also that this is really changing everything. And it's actually exactly designed to solve problems that other people were failing on. And I have to admit, this was a 1.5-hour call that I basically took somewhere in a parking lot, very interestingly. And I got so much infected. And I think the other thing you have to understand, I'm not an entrepreneur. So I'm not the person starting things from scratch. I don't know, maybe now, but in the past, that was not my thing. I'm the person who gets things done. I am the person who gets things over the finish line. So they were ready. They had everything, but I had no clue to move that forward. So I was exactly like my mentor. It was actually my mentor who brought me into that company, who was also sitting in the board, good friend, Jerry Cagle, no names. But so it was exactly the right person. And I will never forget this story that I asked all the people, we were 44, 45 people at the time. I asked them, hey, line up all the ideas you are having. It was 47, 48 ideas. I said, great, there's one idea per person. Great. So we have now an offsite, and in 2 days we will leave this room and we will have only 2 projects. Panic in the room. I mean, people were really freaking out. And in the end, after 2 days, we left the room, we had 3. And interestingly, 2 of them are approved, and the third one is currently in clinical trials. And now people looking back and say, Christian, was the best time, when you joined, because now we got something done. We go from ideas and whatever. Now we go into changing the lives of patients and making a difference to the world.
Nice story. It's a bit similar like with the NASA. In that time, the American president arrived in the 60s and asked, what are the projects? And they listed 45 projects. And he said, I will return in 2 days and we will have maximum 10 projects. And in the end, they had one headline. It was, let's put a man on the moon. Yeah. And this offers clarity.
Really? I didn't know that story.
Clarity.
That's a great story, because that feels somehow very much interlinked with my experience here at the biotech company.
Well, then I really like it that you made the same experience. So if you're not the founder, you're at least a true entrepreneur, and you've covered curiosity for your childhood. But being an entrepreneur, you need courage, I guess, Christian. What is entrepreneurial courage for you? To step into that shoes, bring that to scale, is terra incognita. Nobody has done that before. Why have you done that?
Yeah, look, if you look at my career path, I'm strange because I have these breaks. So the break is I'm studying chemistry, and I'm coming out of a family, they're all chemists. If you Google me and you find my uncle, he's a professor, you find my cousin, he's a professor, you find my grandfather, he was in chemistry, the other grandfather was a professor in chemistry. So all university, my father is doing chemistry. Okay, my son is doing geology. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Yeah. Well, then I'm moving now to pharma. Okay. and enjoy it. There's no time back that I go back. Then I have my great life in big companies like Novartis, as Abbott, and then I turn to a role where you have 40 people. Now it's 28 people. Yeah. Most people say, "Why do you do that?" And I learned from some other leaders like Joe Jimenez, former CEO of Novartis. He said, "It's not about the role, the title. It's all about the opportunity." You need to see that, and then you need to have a plan, you need to have a process, and then you need to execute. And don't get distracted because it's never a straight line, but you don't get away, don't lose your focus. There are two things in my terminology that don't exist: defocus, and this is not going to work because impossible is not part of my vocabulary.
So if you are Mr. Terminator and you finalize things, have you had the impression that you have learned through feedback that you are Mr. Doing the things until the end? Or have you had the impression that it is coming from your internal traits that you are Mr. Accomplish, and then you have shown the world that accomplishing is something satisfying? Did it come from outside or from inside?
I think I had that, and I learned from my mentors that fear is the biggest threat. And I've met many people in my business that were afraid. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not obvious. Yeah. And I remember when at Novalik we were submitting a new drug application to FDA. Well, that's a big thing, I can tell you. Yeah. So my absolutely appreciated clinical director, she came to my office and said, "Christian, I have a problem. Yeah. So tell me about the problem." And the problem is when I was at this other company in the big pharma world, we had 50 people involved in the NDA submission. I said, "That's great. We are just 15. So what is the question? The question is, where do I get these 135 people now?" And she said, "What we are going to do?" And I said, "Look, we do the following. We just write down what we know because we are the experts of this product. Yeah? We write it down. We don't work weekends. We don't get a burnout. And then we are stepping up that hill and we don't look at the summit. We are just stepping up. We just do it. And if it doesn't work, we stop or we return, whatever." So we made it. The product got approved. It's a big success in the United States. Really big success. 1 year later, we submitted in Europe. She came again and said, "Christian, I want to talk about something, but I'm not worried. We will submit with 15 people. I will never ask this question again."
Nice. So you've been talking about fear, and there is one acronym coming from the US. I don't know if you know it. Fear is false evidence appearing real. So if you have not the right data, then something can fear you. Yeah. If you don't have the right perspective, then it can fear you. And I'm just curious about one question. I'm a bit hesitant to ask it, Christian, but do you think we witness your energy, we witness your clarity, we witness your visionary style here, yeah? We witness your positivity. Does anybody in your environment fear you because they see you and see, okay, there is no task on earth that Christian cannot solve? Do you think that there is fear around you seeing all your success and all the opportunities that you manage and finalize?
Yeah, all the time, I guess. So I can tell you about my first job. It's a long time ago at Alcon. I'm very a person who likes to be involved. I like to understand everything. And I was in a company, Alcon, my first job, junior product manager, and I got my territory, but obviously this was connected to other territories. So I asked a lot of questions. And after 6 months, 7 months, really senior colleague, she came to me and said, "Christian, do you want to have my job?" And I said, "No, bloody hell, no." But with my energy, I was really entered her comfort zone. So very important experience that I'm obviously trying to at least recognize that I can have that kind of impression, no? If you have a bulldozer and just ramming through that, yeah. On the other hand, sometimes it has advantages because if you want to disrupt, or you have to recognize that sometimes people are giving you power and you want to use it in the right way. And then you need to have a different compass for people not really getting afraid because it's all about a compass. And in particular, leaders are being recognized how they act every day. And I think there are two things. Everybody talks about integrity because if you read leadership programs, I think everything is important, but integrity is really the last line for a leader. And I'm always adding humanity. So humanity for me is so important. And I think it's a standalone pillar in the way I look at things. So I can say sorry. I really can think about, I may have to exit a person that I really like personally. I can still exit a person from a company and still can do this in a humanitarian way. At least I can try. Although maybe the business discussion is definitely hard. And I think that is a struggle in my own compass, that I had really not fearless nights, but I really had very difficult nights, because if you need to fight on your own, and the more you step up in the careers, the more you're alone. It's great to have friends like Elias where we can connect and are not directly related in business. And this compass has always to be realigned, and you need to find your North Pole again. Yeah.
It's very interesting because we have asked you prior to the podcast, Christian, to go through an analysis, and this analysis is an internationally founded, named Profile Dynamics, and it measures value systems in individuals, in teams, and in organizations, and it describes what gives you energy and where you are resistant. And so we don't have much time left. Let me at least uncover this part of the result, because we've seen it, experienced it during the conversation. Your highest value is what we call the orange value system. So orange is all about winning, goals, ambition, getting things done. And it doesn't mean that others around you fear immediately orange, but if there is too much orange in the room, then it may come along that you're arrogant, that you're too opportunistic, that you want to steal the job of someone. Yeah. But that's not your intention, because orange has one intention, is grow and make things better. Yeah. The second value is the yellow value system. It's all about innovation, is about freedom of ideas, is about the flow to connect and to deep dive in topics. So those both values, I would say, if I don't know you, are non-negotiable. So you will always seek for an environment where you can live your orange and your yellow value system. And guess what is the third one? It's the green value system. It's the system of community, of society, of harmony, of consensus. A little lower, but very important for you. And this makes the predominant part of your character, because those values are in your thinking, in your feeling, and in your behavior, and you will always show them. Yeah. Does that resonate when you listen to what I've just shared, Christian?
Yeah, this describes me very well. And I have to admit, over the years, it became more pronounced. So because when you're in these leadership roles, you have more freedoms to do that. And so it becomes definitely more pronounced. So that describes me extremely well. Yeah.
And may I exactly ask you to describe, so you're not aware of all the colors I shared, and that's not the topic, yeah? But is there anything, what is a red flag for you, what you don't like, what you dislike, where you say, no, I go into any kind of resistance if I see that in my environment, in my teams, in my businesses, because you think this is reducing performance? Can you describe something from the top of your head?
Yeah, look, this is basically the counterpart. I think that's not really the rocket science. No? So if you have people that say no, or I cannot do that, it's normal. I think I learned to deal with that, because sometimes it's your choice. I think what's more difficult is for me to talk with people that either don't have an opinion or can provide value to a discussion. Well, you could argue, then ignore them, yeah? But imagine you're talking to somebody who has not an idea what you're doing, and it's your supervisor. Difficult, very difficult, because in my profile, you would directly go on confrontation, because you know everything. So
Exactly.
You want to win that battle in this discussion. Maybe the other person, it's not so exactly right on the topic. And then you will say, no, it's like this and like that. So I'm struggling with that. And I'm still struggling with that. I think sometimes my mechanic that I try to apply, and then sometimes I fail, so I try to apply it again. You know, what you described me first is this approach, team. No? Together, everyone achieves more. I think I really live that. But it also requires, not everybody is not like me. And it also requires me to leave my ego out of the room. Because it's also fair to say, what I learned from a gold medalist, that together everyone achieves more only functions in a group of individualists if they leave their egos outside. And sometimes I need to swallow the things that I don't like, or even the ways. And I need to step ahead and be most likely the first who keeps my ego out. It actually doesn't work all the time.
Yeah.
But I try to memorize that and apply it. And but in daily life, sometimes, yeah, that's a challenge.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Yeah. And your psychometric results shows exactly that. It shows you have a high resistance toward high red. High red is bossy behavior and egoistic behavior.
Yeah, I
You
don't
don't
do
like
that. Yeah, I hate that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can read it in your results. And a second topic is if people are zooming out far too away and it's too holistic what they talk, but they cannot take decision right now and act and move forward. If it's theoretically logic and it makes sense, but they cannot apply it. This is something where you think that there is no operational decision in the room. And the last one, you mentioned it already, if someone is in the room and has no opinion. This is what takes just 1 second of reflection for you, because you mentioned it earlier, you love to be on a purposeful mission. And if you see that people have no opinion, then it's a resistance towards your purposeful mission. And this is, Elias, why we at Morgan Phillips love assessments, because it's a shortcut to business behavior. We can, if we have psychometric results, we can read and predict future behavior and performance, isn't it, Elias?
That's true. I was listening. I think I could have leave you alone in, in that podcast, but it was really a nice summary how I get to learn Christian for the last 10 years. To keep maybe some key takeaways at the end, Christian, I would like to ask you 2, 3 questions just to have something for the audience so that we can summarize our podcast from today. We heard today from Gaetan and from yourself that there are a few values which are really typically for Christian Roesky. Is there anything you would never compromise on?
Yeah, look, have fun. Don't do a job that you hate. I mean, it's not the point, yeah. So many people, we have to work until 67 for me, maybe for others it's longer, so don't do that, yeah. The other thing is get this assessment. It's interesting that you said that, Gaetan. I did my first assessment in 1999 and it changed everything because you need to know yourself and you don't learn this at university. So, and likely you don't learn it as a biotech company if you don't have a CEO that has been that. So take the opportunity, learn about yourself and apply that and give this opportunity to others. Because if you don't know yourself, how can you change?
Who
Yes,
else should
you
do?
need to know that. Yeah,
That's a good one. The whole life is a learning curve.
it is.
Is there something specific, Christian? I mean, you reach so many things at Novalik at the moment. Is there something you want to work on now? A project you want to share here with the audience?
Yeah, look, some of my friends are starting now to talk about what do you think about the retirement? I mean, gosh, okay, I'm 59. So the last thing I would think about is retirement. And everything that I have achieved, it's history. It's gone. I mean, I'm not interested in this any longer. I think I still want to move the needle as much as I can. I want to enjoy my life, but I think I'm still driven by a purpose. I love to work with people and to learn new things. Well, it's getting slower, but it's always great to work with great people in the team because then you can basically not compromise, but you can have complementary skills. And yes, I think it's great to work with you guys because Gaetan, remember when we had this speech with the musicians and I learned from these amazing musicians. So stepping out of your daily business, get a different perspective, talk to a gold medalist or to your neighbor, and then appreciate what you get and have fun. Yeah. So I'm having fun what I'm doing. Yeah.
Appreciate. I remember that, and I link it when I see you, Christian, to your driver back in the year 2000 or something. You were mentioning that he still remember you.
Yeah, this is also
Christian.
my driver here who drove me to my first job.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
PM, then he drove me that and he said, look, I'm your career path. My good omen. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Christian, maybe last word and last key takeaway. What does success mean to you today?
Yeah, success is, I think it's about winning. But for me, I think it has changed because I still want to win. Now I think I want to help other people to really enjoy and appreciate what I was given because I would not have been here if there would be no people that would have believed in Christian, to give me opportunities, to support me in difficult times, to help me getting up when we were making mistakes and falling down. So I think now I'm in the age of giving back in a way without stopping doing what I'm doing. But that has changed, and I think this change has already started almost 10 years ago. And I think that is now, I would say, success is to see other people growing.
What a nice and wonderful final message, Christian. Really. Our audience today, thank you for your time. Christian, thank you for the nice words and the valuable conversation into leadership, innovation, but also personal growth. And we want to close that podcast today. We are grateful that you have been with us. You guys, that you are listening to our podcast. We believe that this is a conversation which has served you and hopefully was inspiring you for upcoming learning points.
Yeah, there are plenty of learning points. And so thank you to all of you. If you listen to us, if you watch us, wherever you see there are two major pillars always. We will always invite guests, special guests. We will always do psychometric analysis with them. And Christian, we will always ask them to recommend another leader they know for this podcast and conversation. So stay tuned out there. Stay curious. Whoever will be nominated from Christian, you will learn it here on Morgan Phillips Talks.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you all. And if you want to find me, go to Elias and get on. And thank you both. You guys are amazing.
Thanks. Bye for now,
Thank you,
everybody.
Christian. Bye for now.